and let us all do we can to build a better future. So let's talk about this primary that's going to be taking place in 2024. Now, Biden has yet to make his announcement, but there are two runners in the election so far. There's RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson. Now, I have to call into question, especially to both campaigns of Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr., of what are they prepared to do in regards towards election fraud that will, and yes, it will take place during the 2020, especially what we saw in 2016 and 2020, but also what's probably going to happen in 2024. Because look what happened to Bernie Sanders during both those campaigns, and look how Tulsi Gabbard, how she was constantly smeared throughout the entire 2020 primary, even though she was of the final three in the election. She was the last one to really drop out, save for the fact there was Biden and Bernie. And the thing is, right now, I really have to call into question all this hype that's being built up around Marianne Williamson. So first, before I bring up some of the drama that's being brought up, let's talk about the fact that there's a lot of hype surrounding her campaign, because apparently on TikTok, of all places, she's being built up. And I guess everyone is really trying to manufacture or build this new Bernie Sanders, which is, I think, an interesting experiment. But the thing is, we have to remember what Bernie Sanders did not once but twice was his movement, that is abandon it and then support the establishment candidate. So our fantastic friends at TYT, I know, hold on, because there's two great videos that are going to come up afterwards, I promise. They start talking about how Marianne Williamson is starting to take TikTok by storm.
When it comes to TikTok, man, she is blowing up. Apparently, her videos with the kinds of messages that you just heard in the video we showed you happen to be very appealing to the young TikTok users. And she has grown an enormous following on TikTok as a result. So in just a moment, we'll actually tell you just how popular she is on this platform. And remember, when it comes to elections, young people are playing a bigger role. They made all the difference in the midterm elections and could potentially make all the difference in the upcoming presidential.
Listen, Gen Z or any other young person getting involved in elections. Look, all right? You don't have to listen to me. I'm just going to give you a heads up. I saw this happen not once but twice, where the establishment was putting all of its weight on the scale, okay? They did it to Bernie Sanders not once but twice. They smeared Tulsi Gabbard. They smeared Andrew Yang. And yes, they even smeared Marianne Williamson. I just got to warn you, the establishment wants to control the narrative, especially the Democratic establishment. The Democratic primaries have a thing called superdelegates. The Republican primary doesn't have superdelegates. So you know what that means? Republican candidates who are running in the presidential campaign for 2024 are more democratically elected and selected by the people, the regular voters, than what you get in the Democratic primary. All right, and even then, we've seen progressive Democrats get compromised or willingly fall in line with the establishment. So look out. You're heading for disappointment, okay? Just don't build somebody up into something that they're not, okay? I made that mistake with Bernie Sanders. Please don't make that mistake with Marianne Williamson or anyone else running in the Democratic primary.
Presidential election in 2024. First, let's play a few of her other clips, including some of her most popular TikToks, so you can kind of get a feel of what her message is and which messages tend to appeal to a younger audience.
Why do you want to be president?
I want to be president because this country needs to make an economic U-turn. And the system that effectuates and perpetuates that kind of income and opportunity inequality is not changing itself. Why is it that we don't have free college, which we had here in the United States till the 1960s? And by the way, when I was growing up, Blue Cross Blue Shield was a nonprofit. Why don't we have what they have in every other advanced democracy? As in free childcare, as in paid family leave.
Because of quote George Carlin, the establishment, the people who own this country want to make sure people are smart enough to run the machines, but dumb enough not to question anything because they bought this country years and years ago. I'm doing a disservice to George Carlin. America was once this great, pristine nation. What did? We turned to shopping malls, and now shopping malls are all bankrupt and empty. We got nothing but empty steel mills. We got empty shopping malls. We got abandoned communities. We got rundown communities. We got trains derailing all over the place. It's one big club, Marianne. I think you're in it, but the rest of us are not. So of course I agree with everything. I'm done listening to this. So the reason why I played this clip is because there's this hype surrounding her. So our colleagues at Indie News Network, all right, shout out to Reef Breland, Indie Left, Colin Rax Carter, shout out to you, buddy, Jesse Jett, as well as, not to mention, Lucy Can, as well as Roger Meadows, good friend of the show, Roger Meadows. Roger, I really miss you on Rockfin a lot, man. I really do, buddy. You keep on speaking truth to power. Thank you for all your messages, too, by the way, because, again, if you're not following Roger Meadows on Twitter, please do so. So there were two things that took place in Manhattan, and Stephen Donziger was talking about, well, Marianne Williamson. And so somebody decided to speak out, use their voice. So there was a little bit of some drama there. So let's play this video for all of you.
Excuse me, Stephen. I'm sorry, but the Democratic Party is not democratic. They're never going to let Marianne run. Kennedy is running, and he's not even going to get past the DNC line. You're wasting our time, and you're wasting our money, and so are all these other hipsters in here. You are clueless, and you don't know what the you're talking about.
You know, again, nothing that Lucy said was wrong. Nothing that she said was wrong because, again, we saw this happen not once but twice. The Democratic Party doesn't care. They don't care. You understand? They don't care. And, again, this kind of adds to my point again. I said this on the show. You know, these are the kind of people who boo and silence a critic, right? Or somebody actually speaking the truth, the uncomfortable truth. All these people who are booing, these are the same people who probably say, "Oh, during the civil rights era, I would have helped the slaves. During World War II, I would have stood up against the Nazis and helped the Jews. I would have done that. I would have helped." No, none of these people would. None of them would. If you ever hear anyone talk like that, choose to engage at your own risk, okay? Because these people live in a delusional world. And plus, not to mention, I just find it hilarious that this small noodle guy just starts running up and tries to and pushing Lucy out there. Because don't worry, we're gonna acknowledge little noodle. I don't know who this person is. So here's Indie News. A moment of violence at the Earth Day event by Marianne Williamson. A Williamson supporter ran and tackled someone just for taking pictures and asking why she supports Zionism. So much for the love crowd. Big Mad Crab. This is your work. So, hey, you're getting shout out. So Big Mad Crab, if you're still in the live stream chat, here's your work. But again, I played this video not once, but like 5 times. And if somebody ran up on me like that, I like to think I would be in control of my actions, but I don't know. This warrants a deck in the mouth. But here, see it for yourselves. So much for love. Marianne, why is there so much drama?
And if you make me your president, I'm going to be honest with you. And if there's some something to look at, Gary!
I'm sorry. Skinny boy is just kind of got a little bit pushed around because here, hold on. I know we need to focus on what's happening at the event, but again, I just find it funny. He just rushes up like this.
Gary!
He got pushed around. So your back's exposed. Great job, security man.
Oh. What is the point? Get out now. Get out now.
Is it over yet? Tell me. You put your hands on me again.
Ha! God, that's great, man. Good, because hey, listen. I've seen people like Twig Boy around try and push people around. It is downright hilarious, especially when they get manhandled. But anyways, Marianne, why is there so much drama at your event? And again, these are legitimate questions because remember, I interviewed a person named Marcel Dixon who was at a Marianne Williamson event, and when he began speaking about reparations and so many other important issues, Marianne Williamson was first listening and then went on a whole verbal tirade against him. This is something that happened. So again, it does call into question of just how these Democratic candidates are going to handle criticism, because we've all saw how Marianne Williamson broke under pressure when she was being interviewed by RBN. And the fact that, again, you have this idea, this concept of building her up into the next Bernie Sanders, it'll be an interesting experiment. I wonder if it will succeed. TikTok is a very interesting platform, but as we all know, the government's going after TikTok to silence it. But as a candidate, she seems to be having a lot of controversy surrounding her. People are questioning her. She has some very interesting policy platforms, things in which she supports and endorses that do warrant criticism and questions. We'll see how this plays out, especially during the Democratic primary of 2024. But maybe this election year, maybe I'm going to get my wish. Maybe this election year will be very entertaining and very interesting. Maybe. But one last time here, we just got to see this. I don't know what Noodle Boy was thinking, but he needs to hit the gym.
And if you make me your president, I'm going to be honest with you. And if there's some
Miss
companies
Williamson!
that I look at,
Security!
Well, a little bit of advice. As soon as your back is exposed, you're done. That's just how it's done. Fighting 101. Okay? Fighting 101. That's just how it is. It's pretty weak. Very weak indeed. 2024. Who's looking forward to it? Show of hands. I am.